I think what makes me unique is that my work is always about answering some kind of a question. So I think of myself as a performance artist researcher, a theatre maker researcher, a writer researcher. And I think it also comes from my name. My mother named me Nondumiso Lwazi, and Nondumiso comes from a black woman professor that my mom thought was brilliant. And Lwazi means knowledge. So my name kind of carries the promise of somebody who will bring praise with knowledge. If a place becomes a site because something has happened here, and a body becomes a portal because something is happening here, then art can create new realities out of the debris of the past. My name is Nondumiso Lwazi Msimanga. I am a performance artist and provocateur. My work takes place in public and private sites, places where something has happened, something is happening, something could happen, or something should happen. I like to think of my performance practice as creating events. I create public events where I can participate with people, places, and things to try to imagine what kind of alternative worlds we could create. I like to make space for myself as an artist to be able to experiment and to be able to play without feeling like my work is always going to be seen as political. But I also like to, as a writer, as a thinker about the arts, make space for other artists to be able to talk about their work, to be able to understand their own explorations, their own investigations around what it is that we're creating in the South African contemporary art scene. Because we have wild and wonderful imaginations. Right now, I am working on my PhD, and I think it's exciting for me to be able to contextualize my own performance practice and to see what it is that I've been doing for the past couple of years as a performance artist, running around in the streets, sometimes taking my clothes off, sometimes not. But, you know, in a very real sense, to actually take time to investigate what I'm looking for, because my work is always trying to ask a question. So part of my performance practice, part of my interest in performance has in a way become a means of dealing with my fears of the things we can't see, of being haunted, of knowing that there are many, many, many ghosts walking around this country. And so I make art. Can ghosts remove you from your consciousness? Absolutely. Working with ghosts is not an easy thing to do. It's treacherous even at times. I think that to be able to listen to ghosts and to try to attend to what they ask you to do involves a great amount of care. And that care not only extends to the ghost themselves, to trying to make sure that you are taking care of what it is that needs to be taken care of, but that you are also taking care of yourself as the carrier of that message, or the person who's going to action out what it is that the ghosts have asked you to do. I think that working with ghosts also means taking a great deal of care of people and places and the things that we work with in order to manifest the change that the ghost seeks. So, yes, when a ghost calls you, it's not always Casper the friendly ghost. Sometimes you're being called by an angry someone who has been through so much and who has tried to get so many people's attention over time that you're going to get pulled out of your bed. And sometimes you don't listen. Sometimes you don't hear the way that the particular ghost is speaking to you. And that means that it might take a longer time for you to be able to listen and do something about it. And that means that the ghost can get angry in that time. So you can be yanked out of your body, especially if you yourself have experienced something similar to what that ghost is talking to you about. And if that ghost is trying to make you experience what it was like for them, then you go somewhere else sometimes. And part of the practice of being a caring and a careful performer is to know how to come back, is to know how to stay present with yourself, even as you're being moved from place to place. And I think that that's a very important part of what we do as performers that sometimes gets neglected. That if you are being a portal and something is happening here, it's happening in your body, and it's happening between the bodies, and it's happening inside of the other bodies that you're communicating with. And you don't always know what's happening. And our job becomes to hold that space and to make sure that the sight of the trauma, the trouble, the request, the cry, your job is also to make sure that that sight does not then create violence all over again. Performing rituals is sometimes very systematic and sometimes absolutely not. It really can depend on the ritual itself. Some rituals have formulaic things that need to happen. Some rituals will require that whenever this ritual is done, this and this and this thing are done in this and that way. And this person performs this function and that thing performs that function. And in those kinds of rituals, the systems are so codified that what you're doing inside of that ritual is is trying to hear just how the actions that have been so specifically put forward are trying to activate you, the person, into another kind of space, into a different kind of being. Every ritual seeks some kind of transformation in some way, shape or form. Every ritual enacts some sort of shift from one state to another. And the state could be you're coming from your everyday state to being inside of a solemn or a meditative or whatever kind of state that might be. And that state itself might be the purpose of that ritual, to allow you to know that you can access this in yourself and that there are ways for you to be able to come in to that access. But other rituals that are less formulaic, that don't have set patterns, some of those rituals are the kinds of rituals that I've encountered in being haunted and actually listening to what that ghost is asking for. Other rituals are not asked for by ghosts in particular, but by ancestors, saying you need to attend to this in your home, in yourself, in your family, in your community. And when you are working with ancestors or ghosts, you're working with entities that are alive in a different way, entities that have been alive in this world. And sometimes they can be very playful. Sometimes, because they understand you and they've been watching you and listening to you, because it is you that has to do what you have to do. They have come to know what are the things that you run away from. What are the ways that you run away from things? And so they listen to your readiness to be able to perform that action. And if you're not ready, you can be shaken. You can be haunted, and you can be dragged